Welcome back to TruthCraft, a channel devoted to pursuing the truth while playing Minecraft. Today, I wanted to give you guys one last video in this series of overviews of different arguments for God's existence. I've done a video on the cosmological argument, on the ontological argument, the argument from intelligent design, and then I gave you a video with 4 unique arguments for God's existence. And in this video, I want to give you 9 more arguments, yes, 9, for God's existence. Now, these are pretty uncommon, and they may not be convincing to you. Not all of them are convincing to me, and that's okay, but I think they're all at least interesting, and they give us some food to chew on and reflect on as we consider the reality of God's existence. So here we go. I'm going to try to go fairly quickly through these because there's 9 of them, so forgive me for that. All of these could be, of course, delved into much more deeply and considered much more in-depth as they are in books and other places. So this will just kind of whet your appetite for now. Okay, 9 uncommon arguments for God's existence. Number 1, the transcendental argument. Premise 1, if God does not exist, the preconditions for intelligibility, such as the laws of logic, uniformity of nature, and objective morality, do not exist. Premise 2, the preconditions for intelligibility do exist. In other words, we use logic, conduct scientific inquiry, and make moral judgments. Conclusion, therefore God exists. The transcendental argument is a reductio ad absurdum. The argument seeks to point out the absurdity of the opposite conclusion, that God does not exist, thereby demonstrating that the conclusion must be true, that God does exist. Proponents of this argument seek to demonstrate that the self-evidently coherent and logical nature of the universe around us points to a creator, without which we should not necessarily expect the universe to make sense or to have laws. Without an intelligent designer, chaos is far more likely than order. Number 2, aesthetic argument. Premise 1, there is beauty in the world. Premise 2, the existence of beauty is better explained by the presence of a divine creator than by naturalistic or random processes. Conclusion, therefore the presence of beauty provides evidence for the existence of God, that is, a divine creator. Beauty is full of meaning and value, and therefore it makes more sense to find beauty in a world that has meaning and purpose, rather than one that simply came about randomly. This argument is especially strengthened if we believe that beauty is objective, since objective beauty implies a standard outside of the individual. Now, the precise nature of objective beauty is very difficult to explain, but I don't think that this means we should discount the concept entirely. On the contrary, in general, human beings agree on what's beautiful, and it is only when we get down to the details or seek to rank beautiful things that we run into problems. However, in our day, when toilets and feces can pass for art in a museum, I think that many people have had their consciences destroyed when it comes to recognizing beauty, and thus they will not find this compelling. Number 3, argument from desire. Premise 1, every natural innate desire in humans corresponds to some real object that can satisfy that desire. Premise 2, humans have a natural innate desire that nothing in this world can satisfy. Conclusion, therefore there must be something beyond this world that can satisfy this desire. This something is God. Now, this argument comes directly out of the writings of C.S. Lewis, and I think it is a very interesting one. It's an appeal to desires and longings that all humans have, but which clearly are not satisfied by anything in this world. If all our other desires are satisfied by some object, why would we have a desire for something that cannot be satisfied by anything real? Now, from an evolutionary perspective, this actually seems completely the opposite of what might be expected, since this desire will not lead to more, but actually less competency to survive in this world. This argument suggests that there is another world that we are all searching for. Argument 4, argument from the origin of the idea of God. Premise 1, we have an idea of God as a perfect, infinite being. Premise 2, the cause of an idea must have at least as much reality as the idea itself. Premise 3, a finite, imperfect being, like a human, cannot produce the idea of an infinite, perfect being. Conclusion, therefore, the idea of God must have been caused by an infinite, perfect being, God. This argument comes from René Descartes, and it has some similarities to Anselm's ontological argument. Descartes believed the causes of ideas, as you heard in the premises, must be at least as real as the ideas themselves. In this way of thinking, humans only have the capacity to come up with ideas that derive from their sensory experience. So an infinite being with omniscience, omnipotence, etc., is what is called an innate idea. That is, an idea that is naturally present in the human consciousness and placed there by God himself. Because, of course, we cannot come to the knowledge of something omniscient or omnipotent by our own sensory experience, since it's totally outside of the natural order of things. The experiential argument, number 5. Premise 1, many people across different cultures and historical periods have had experiences that they interpret as encounters with the divine. Premise 2, these experiences often have profound, positive, and transformative effects on individuals. Premise 3, the best explanation for these widespread, consistent, and transformative experiences is the existence of a divine reality. Conclusion, therefore, a divine reality exists. The experiential argument, of course, suggests only the presence of something generally divine or spiritual. It is a plausible argument, however, simply from the fact that nearly all cultures throughout history have believed in God or gods. This strongly suggests that the reality of God is built into the human consciousness. I might also add that certain studies have been done on the concept of God in young children, and these studies have concluded that children, essentially from birth, have a natural inclination to believe in God. Atheism is in fact unnatural to a child's way of thinking. I would encourage you to find some of these studies online and look further into them. Number 6, argument from mathematics. Premise 1, mathematical truths are abstract, objective, and universal. Premise 2, the existence of abstract, objective, and universal truths requires an explanation beyond the physical and human realms. Premise 3, the best explanation for the existence of these truths is a rational, ordered, objective, and universal source. Similar to the transcendental argument, the argument from mathematics points out that beyond the physical realm, there is rational order. The universe is not chaotic, but is ordered in a very precise way, so that everything fits together as it should. Mathematics is an excellent example of this order, for while it's not a physical or natural phenomenon, that is, it does not arise from nature, nature cannot exist without it. What this means is that the world is built on logical order and truth, something that is not readily explainable on atheistic grounds. Argument from the limits of science, number 7. Premise 1, science has limits and cannot answer all fundamental questions about existence, consciousness, and morality. Premise 2, some of these questions point to realities or concepts such as ultimate causes, consciousness, and objective morality that require explanations beyond the natural world. Premise 3, the best explanation for these realities is the existence of a divine reality or higher intelligence. Conclusion, therefore, a divine reality, that is God, exists. Importantly, this argument does not posit the limits of science based upon an ignorance of what science can do. Instead, science by its very nature is not able to answer questions beyond the natural and observable universe. The scientific method assumes that its subject matter is the natural world. So the many things in our life, such as morality, original causes, consciousness, etc., cannot be answered by science. This points to the existence of a creator outside the natural universe. In other words, a supernatural creature. Argument from love, number 8. Premise 1, love, especially selfless or unconditional love, exists and is experienced universally by human beings. Premise 2, the nature and moral dimension of love suggest a reality beyond naturalistic explanations. Premise 3, the best explanation for the existence and nature of love is the existence of a divine source. Conclusion, therefore a divine source, that is God, exists. This argument works especially well in response to the atheistic view of a completely evolutionary universe. Selfless love in that framework is actually not possible, or if it could be possible, it would really not be beneficial, since evolution is all about self-preservation and survival of the fittest. The fact that we all experience love and experience it as something desirable actually tells us that something beyond the purely physical and evolutionary exists, something transcendent and something that provides ultimate purpose. And finally, argument from consciousness. Premise 1, consciousness, including subjective experiences, self-awareness, and intentionality, exists. Premise 2, the existence and nature of consciousness cannot be fully explained by physical processes alone. Premise 3. The best explanation for consciousness is the existence of a non-physical, possibly divine source. Conclusion. Therefore, a non-physical divine source, God, exists. Life does not give rise to consciousness on its own. We know that from the difference between animals and humans. Why is it that humans can have consciousness, can not only think, but also reflect on their own existence? This is very difficult to explain on purely naturalistic grounds and suggests a source of consciousness that is supernatural. Okay, there you go. There's 9 uncommon, somewhat strange, maybe a little interesting arguments for God's existence. I hope you enjoyed them. I want to continue to post videos on a regular basis, and so if you're interested in this kind of content, philosophy, theology, ethics, so on and so forth, please like and subscribe to this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.